The notification sound kept ringing on my phone. I picked it up and watched the family group chat explode with Christmas plans. Everyone was talking excitedly about who would bring what dish, who would host this year, and what time we should all arrive. My cousin asked about secret Santa limits. My aunt posted a gif of Santa dancing with reindeer. Then I scrolled up through the conversation and realized something terrible. My name wasn't mentioned once, not a single time in over 50 messages. I typed slowly, my hands shaking slightly. "Hey everyone, what time should I come over for Christmas?" The chat went completely silent. Those 3 dots appeared at the bottom of the screen, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, after what felt like hours, my sister-in-law's message popped up. "We thought it'd be awkward since you can't afford gifts this year." My stomach dropped like a stone. I read it again, hoping desperately that I had misunderstood. But no, there it was in plain text for everyone in the family to see. My face burned with shame as I stared at those cruel words. I wanted to throw my phone across the room, but instead I just sat there, completely frozen. Then my father's message arrived. "Maybe sit this year out until you get back on your feet, Myria. We understand." I felt like I'd been punched hard in the chest. I sat at my kitchen table that night, unable to move for hours. Bills were stacked high on one side of the table, past due notices in red ink on the other. My laptop glowed in the darkness, showing my bank account balance in harsh digital numbers. $217. That was all I had left after losing my job 3 months ago. I opened Instagram, and there it was. My brother Leland had posted a carousel of photos just an hour ago. "Family Christmas shopping day." The first picture showed him and his wife loading shopping bags into their expensive car. Designer bags from stores I couldn't even walk into anymore. Expensive department stores. Smiling faces without a care in the world. I swiped to the next photo and my breath caught painfully in my throat. There, hanging delicately from my sister-in-law's neck, was my mother's pearl necklace. The one Mom had given me before she died. The one I had treasured for years. The one that was supposed to stay with me forever, through everything. My hands trembled as I zoomed in on the photo. It was definitely the same necklace. I would recognize those pearls anywhere, the unique clasp, the way they caught the light. How did she get it? Why was she wearing it? I closed my eyes and remembered that Christmas Eve 5 years ago. Mom was already very sick, but she had insisted on giving me her necklace early. We sat together on her bed, just the 2 of us, while everyone else watched movies downstairs. The house had been full of noise and laughter, but her room was quiet and peaceful. She had clasped it around my neck with weak, trembling fingers. "You're my heart, Myria," she whispered, her voice already thin. "No matter what happens, no matter what anyone says or does, remember that you are worthy of love. You are enough. This necklace stays with you. Always, promise me." I had cried then, knowing exactly what those words meant, knowing that she was preparing me for a future without her in it. She died 2 months later, peacefully in her sleep. But last year, when I was desperate for rent money and facing eviction, Leland had convinced me to let him pawn it. "Just temporarily," he had promised, holding my hands. "I'll buy it back for you next month, I swear on Mom's memory." I had trusted him completely. I had believed every word. Now I understood the bitter truth. He had bought it back, all right, but not for me, for his wife to wear like a trophy. Walking into Thorne's office to collect my final paycheck felt like a walk of absolute shame. He sat behind his massive mahogany desk, smirking as he slid the envelope across to me. His eyes were cold and amused, like he was enjoying every second of my humiliation. "Tough break, losing your position right before the holidays," he said, leaning back in his expensive leather chair. "Maybe next year you can afford Christmas again. Maybe next year you'll be able to buy actual gifts instead of showing up empty-handed." I forced a small smile and took the envelope with steady hands. I didn't trust myself to speak. If I opened my mouth, I might say something I'd regret forever. Or worse, I might cry right there in front of him, so I just nodded politely and turned to leave his office. Back in my car, I checked my email before driving away. There, buried between spam messages and rejection letters from other jobs, was something different. The subject line read, You applied for the wrong position. My finger hovered over the delete button. It was probably another scam or sales pitch, but something made me click it instead. The email was short, professional, direct. You applied for a junior design role at our firm last month. Your portfolio suggests you're overqualified. Call me. We should talk. Ambrose Sterling, Director of Creative Partnerships. I stared at the phone number at the bottom of the email for a long time. I called the number the next morning, expecting voicemail or a secretary. Instead, a deep voice answered on the second ring. Ambrose Sterling. I stumbled through my introduction nervously. He cut me off gently but firmly. I know who you are, Myria. I've been following your freelance work online for 6 months. Your design aesthetic is exactly what we need for a major project. He explained that his investment firm was partnering with a luxury eco-yacht company. They needed someone to completely rebrand their image from the ground up, make them appeal to younger, environmentally conscious millionaires. It was a massive project worth millions. The contract is for 3 months initially, Ambrose said. But if this goes well, and I think it will, we'll talk about a partnership position. Profit sharing, equity, the whole package. This could change your life. I couldn't breathe properly. This was more money than I'd made in a year at my old job. When do I start? Yesterday, he laughed warmly. I'm sending over the contract now. Read it carefully. Take your time. Sign it if you're interested. We need the first pitch deck in 2 weeks. I hung up and stared at my reflection in the dark computer screen. This was my chance. My only chance. I couldn't mess this up. I didn't sleep for the next 2 weeks straight. I worked 16-hour days, fueled by cheap coffee and pure determination. I researched everything about luxury yachts, sustainable materials, wealthy millennials, and environmental branding. I created mood boards, color palettes, logo variations, and comprehensive marketing strategies. My tiny apartment became a workspace disaster. Sketches covered every available surface. My walls were plastered with inspiration photos torn from magazines. I forgot to eat most days. I forgot what day it was. All that mattered was this project and doing it perfectly. The designs came together beautifully, better than anything I'd ever created. Elegant but modern, luxurious but environmentally responsible. I created a visual identity that screamed wealth while whispering sustainability. It was the best work I'd ever done in my entire career. On the final night, I sent the pitch deck to Ambrose at 3 a.m. My hands were shaking violently as I hit send. Then I waited. I checked my email every 5 minutes. Nothing. I checked again. Still nothing. Hours passed. Then days. Christmas was rapidly approaching and I heard absolutely nothing back. Maybe I'd failed. Maybe it wasn't good enough. Maybe I'd wasted my last chance at salvation. Christmas Eve arrived cold and gray and depressing. I woke up to my phone buzzing constantly with family posts on social media. The group chat I'd been removed from was still visible on Instagram and Facebook. Every single member posted pictures throughout the day. My father carving a golden turkey. My aunt's famous apple pie. Everyone in matching red pajamas that someone had bought. Champagne glasses raised in toasts. I sat on my couch in old sweatpants, eating Chinese takeout straight from the container with plastic chopsticks. I scrolled through every picture, torturing myself with each image. There was Leland with his arm around his wife, both grinning. There was the Christmas tree, covered in twinkling lights and expensive ornaments. There was my father, laughing at someone's joke. Nobody had texted me privately. Not even a simple Merry Christmas message. I was truly invisible to them now, erased from the family. I was about to turn off my phone and go to bed when it pinged. An email notification. From Ambrose. My heart pounded hard as I opened it with shaking fingers. Myria, I apologize for the delay in responding. I wanted to present your pitch to our client before getting back to you. You just won us a $3.2 million contract. Call me Monday morning. We need to discuss your future with this company. I read it 3 times, then started crying tears of relief and joy. Monday morning, I sat in Ambrose's sleek downtown office, still not quite believing this was real life. He slid a thick contract across his glass desk. The numbers made my head spin with disbelief. "You earned this, Myria," he said seriously, looking me directly in the eyes. "That pitch was exceptional, truly exceptional. The client wants you specifically to oversee the entire rebrand from start to finish. Full-time position, profit sharing, benefits, the works." I signed with trembling hands. My entire life had just changed completely in 72 hours. Everything was different now. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text message from Leland. "You missed Christmas dinner. Everyone was asking about you." I stared at that message for a long time. Asking about me? Really? Or were they making jokes about the broke sister who couldn't afford presents? Were they laughing at me? I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and started researching. I typed into Google, "Yacht Charter Design Partnerships." Article after article appeared about the industry. Then I found something interesting. The company I just rebranded offered exclusive staff experiences, test cruises for employees and partners, a chance to experience the luxury they were selling firsthand. My email pinged with a new message, an official invitation. "New Year voyage launch, all expenses paid. Please RSVP." I spent the next week making a crucial decision. I could respond to Leland's fake concern and pretend everything was fine. I could try to explain myself to my family and beg for understanding. I could grovel for their acceptance and forgiveness, or I could do something else entirely, something bold. I chose something else. I accepted the yacht invitation immediately and started planning carefully. This wasn't just about attending a work event. This was about showing myself, and everyone who doubted me, what I was capable of becoming when given a real chance. I went shopping for the first time in months, not at discount stores or second-hand shops anymore. Real shopping at real stores. I bought a dress that actually fit my body properly. I got my hair professionally styled at a salon. I bought makeup that didn't come from a drugstore clearance bin. Standing in the fitting room mirror, I barely recognized the woman staring back. The woman in the reflection looked confident, successful, wealthy. She looked like someone who belonged on a luxury yacht. The launch email arrived with final details and instructions. I skimmed through information about the itinerary, dress code, and guest list. Then I reached the bottom. The yacht's name, the Silver Solace. I smiled at my phone screen. Solace, peace. That's exactly what this represented. My peace, my escape, my new beginning away from everything painful. The morning of the launch, I woke up before dawn. I couldn't sleep anyway. Too much excitement. Too much nervous energy coursing through my body. I spent 2 hours getting ready, making sure every single detail was absolutely perfect. My phone kept buzzing with work emails. Congratulations from colleagues I hadn't met yet. Questions about the project timeline. But one notification made me pause and smile. My brother's wife had found my Instagram account. She'd liked a few old photos from years ago. Then she left a comment on my most recent post, a simple selfie from last week. I drove to the marina in my old car, which suddenly felt very small and shabby. But when I arrived and saw the Silver Solace gleaming in the morning sun like something from a dream, none of that mattered anymore. Reporters crowded the dock with cameras and microphones. Photographers adjusted their expensive equipment. Guests in designer clothes sipped champagne from crystal flutes. A massive banner hung near the entrance. Silver Solace Launch Event, Creative Team Celebration. I walked up the gangplank slowly, my heels clicking on the polished wood. Someone in a uniform handed me a champagne flute. I took it with shaking hands. Then I saw the press board near the entrance. Large professional photos of the creative team. And there, right in the center, my photo with text underneath. Myria Castellanos, Creative Director, Silver Solace Project. The yacht was more beautiful than I'd imagined in my wildest dreams. Every surface gleamed under the sunlight. The design elements I'd created were everywhere I looked. My color palette, my aesthetic, my vision brought to life in polished wood and metal and glass. Ambrose found me standing on the upper deck, staring out at the endless ocean. "Proud of yourself," he asked with a knowing smile. I nodded. Unable to speak past the lump in my throat, I was proud. For the first time in my entire life, I was genuinely proud of what I'd accomplished through my own hard work. The event lasted 4 hours. I networked with wealthy investors. I explained my design choices to journalists. I smiled for dozens of professional photos. By the time it ended, my face hurt from smiling so much. That night back home, I posted one of the professional photos to Instagram. Me standing on the deck of the Silver Solace, champagne glass raised elegantly, ocean glittering behind me like diamonds. I didn't caption it. I didn't need to explain anything. Within an hour, my brother's wife commented, "Wow, whose yacht are you pretending on?" I smiled at my phone screen. Then I typed my response very carefully. Mine, literally. I hit post and turned off my phone, feeling powerful for the first time. The next morning, my post had gone completely viral. Thousands of likes, hundreds of comments from strangers, shares from people I didn't even know existed. The story had captured something universal. The underdog narrative, the revenge arc, the yacht as the ultimate symbol of success. My phone wouldn't stop ringing all day long. I ignored most calls, but then I saw the group message from my family, the same chat I'd been excluded from at Christmas. "Let's talk." I didn't respond immediately. I let them wait, let them wonder, let them feel a fraction of what I'd felt on Christmas Eve when they'd excluded me. 3 days later, Leland called directly. I answered, curious what excuse he'd prepared. "Myria, hey," his voice was strained, careful, practiced. "Look, Dad feels really bad about Christmas. We didn't mean to hurt you, it was just a misunderstanding." I said nothing, let him fill the uncomfortable silence. "We thought you'd be uncomfortable, you know, with everyone exchanging expensive gifts and you being in a tough spot financially. We were trying to be considerate of your situation." "Considerate," I repeated flatly. "Yeah, exactly." He sounded relieved that I seemed to understand. "So anyway, we're all good, right? No hard feelings." I let Leland ramble for a few more minutes. He talked about how proud everyone was of my success now, how they'd always known I was talented and would bounce back, how family was forever, no matter what happened. Then he paused. I could almost hear him gathering courage for what came next. "Actually, Myria, since you're doing so well now, I was wondering if you could help Dad out with something. His new car loan is pretty steep, and with the holidays, money's been really tight. Maybe you could lend him a little, just until tax return season." There it was, the real reason for the call. Not apology, not reconciliation, not love, money. I laughed, actually laughed out loud. Leland went quiet on the other end. "Of course," I said sweetly. "I'd be happy to help Dad." "Really?" He sounded shocked, relieved. "That's amazing, Myria. Dad will be so grateful. How much can you?" "Just send me your address," I interrupted smoothly. "I'll mail you something special." He gave me the address quickly, probably afraid I'd change my mind. We hung up, and I sat there smiling to myself. I had a plan, a perfect plan. I spent the afternoon looking for the perfect postcard. It needed to be just right, not too flashy or obvious, not too subtle. Perfect. I found it at a boutique stationery store downtown. An embossed postcard featuring the Silver Solace, photographed at sunset, all golden light and gleaming white surfaces. It was expensive, $20 for one postcard. I bought 3 copies. Back home, I printed one of the professional photos from the launch event. Me in my designer dress, champagne glass raised, smiling genuinely at the camera. The ocean sparkled behind me. The yacht's name was clearly visible on a life preserver in the background. I wrote neatly on the back of the postcard in my best handwriting, "Thanks for saving me a seat last Christmas." Then I tucked the photo inside a small envelope and attached it carefully to the postcard. I signed it simply, "Love, the broke one." I addressed it to my father's house in clear letters. Then I walked to the post office and mailed it, feeling lighter with every step I took away from the mailbox. A week passed slowly. I went to work every day at my new office with floor-to-ceiling windows. I led design meetings with confidence. I approved marketing materials. I made decisions that affected million-dollar budgets. It still felt surreal, like someone else's life. Ambrose called me into his office on a Friday afternoon. "Your numbers are incredible," he said, showing me analytics on his computer screen. "Social media engagement is up 300% since the launch. The viral post helped, obviously, but it's more than that. People genuinely connect with your designs." I tried to stay professional, but I couldn't help grinning widely. "We're getting requests for interviews," he continued. "Business magazines, design podcasts, even a couple of lifestyle influencers want to feature you and your story. Are you comfortable with that kind of attention?" I thought about my family, about the postcard that should be arriving any day now, about the reaction I knew was coming soon. "Yes," I said confidently, "I'm comfortable with that." That weekend, I posted another Instagram story. Just a casual shot of my laptop on a table with the ocean visible through a window behind it. Caption: "Working remotely from my yacht office today." It wasn't technically my yacht, but it wasn't technically a lie either. I was working. There was a yacht. The details didn't matter. Monday morning, my father received the postcard. I know because I got the phone call at 7:15 a.m. sharp. "Myria," my father's voice was strange, confused, maybe a little angry. "I got your postcard." "Did you like it?" I asked innocently, sipping my coffee. "Is this real? Are you actually working on a yacht? Is this some kind of joke?" "I'm actually the creative director of a luxury yacht company," I corrected calmly. "The boat in the picture is one of our vessels. Why do you ask?" Silence. Then I heard my stepmother's voice in the background. "Is that really Myria on a yacht? Let me see that picture again." My father didn't answer her. "Why didn't you tell us about any of this?" "Tell you what? That I got a new job. You didn't seem very interested in my life when you uninvited me from Christmas for being poor." More silence, uncomfortable this time. "I need to go," I said. "I have a meeting in 10 minutes. Thanks for calling, Dad." I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but not from nervousness, from power, from finally having control of the narrative. 10 minutes later, the family group chat exploded with activity. I watched the messages pile up rapidly, one after another. I'd been re-added to the chat. How convenient. "Leland, this is fake. That's not her yacht. She's lying." His wife, "She's probably working for someone rich. It's her boss's boat." My aunt, "Why would she lie about something like this? That seems unlike her." My father, "I don't think she's lying. I found an article, Business Insider. It mentions her by name, creative director." That stopped the conversation briefly. Then it started again, more frantic this time. "Leland, well, she could have told us. Why keep it a secret from family?" His wife, "She's being dramatic. This is typical Myria behavior." I kept reading, not responding to anything, just watching them argue among themselves, watching them try to make sense of how their broke family member suddenly had a career they couldn't understand or afford. Then I did something petty, wonderfully petty. I posted an Instagram story, just a quick video panning across the yacht deck, the ocean beyond, my hand holding a coffee cup. Caption: "Morning meeting vibes." I tagged the company. I tagged the yacht. I made sure there was no possible doubt about where I was or what I was doing. Within an hour, my follower count tripled again. The viral wave was completely unexpected. Screenshots of my Instagram posts started appearing on Twitter, then Facebook, then TikTok. People were creating reaction videos. "Broke girl gets uninvited from Christmas, becomes CEO on a yacht." That wasn't exactly accurate. I wasn't a CEO, but the narrative was powerful, compelling. People absolutely loved it. Business magazines started reaching out for interviews. Design blogs wanted features. A podcast about women in entrepreneurship asked me to be a guest. Brands offered partnership deals. My email inbox was complete chaos. Ambrose called me, actually laughing. "You've gone viral, and investors are very interested in expanding. We're getting calls about growing the yacht line. They specifically want your design vision for the new models." "New models?" I repeated, shocked. "Multiple boats, Myria, a whole fleet. This is bigger than we anticipated. Much, much bigger." That night, my father sent an email. Not a text, an actual email. Formal, careful, thought out. "Dear Myria, I hope this message finds you well. Your mother would be very proud of what you've accomplished. Perhaps you could visit for New Year's. We would love to see you. We miss you very much. Love, Dad." I read it 3 times, looking for the trap hidden in the words. I responded to my father's email after thinking about it for 2 full days. "Sure, let's have dinner, my treat." I didn't elaborate, didn't explain, just agreed and suggested a date. New Year's Eve. Poetic, really. Ending one year and starting another. Ending one version of myself and becoming someone completely new. The week before New Year's, I prepared very carefully. I bought a new outfit. Not flashy, but unmistakably expensive. I arranged for a professional car service. I made reservations at the best restaurant in town. The kind of place that requires reservations months in advance. The kind of place my family always talked about but never actually went to. New Year's Eve arrived cold and clear. I spent the morning at the yacht, finishing some design work. The afternoon getting ready. By evening, I was ready. The car arrived exactly on time. Black, polished, professional. The driver opened my door and I slid into the leather seats, feeling like royalty. We drove to my father's house in silence. I watched familiar streets pass by the window. Nothing had changed here in this neighborhood, but I had changed. Everything about me was different now. The car pulled up to the curb and I saw curtains moving in the front window. They were watching, waiting. I stepped out of the car gracefully, my heels clicking on the sidewalk. The driver stayed with the vehicle as I'd requested. I wanted them to see, to understand what I'd become. My father opened the door before I could knock. His eyes widened as he took in my appearance. The dress, the hair, the confidence, the way I carried myself now. "Myria," he breathed, "you look wonderful, absolutely wonderful." "Thank you." I stepped inside. The house smelled the same as always, pine and cinnamon. Christmas decorations still covered every surface, even though it was New Year's Eve. Everyone was there waiting. Leland and his wife on the couch, my aunt in the armchair, my stepmother hovering nervously near the kitchen, all of them staring at me like I was a stranger. "We didn't realize you were doing so well," my father stammered. "Your posts online, they're impressive, very impressive." I smiled and sat down in the chair no one was using. The good chair, the one that usually belonged to my father. "Thank you. It's been an interesting few months." Leland cleared his throat awkwardly. "So, this yacht thing, how exactly does that work? Are you like an employee or something?" "I'm the creative director," I said calmly. "I have an equity stake in the company. I'm a partial owner." The silence that followed was thick and uncomfortable. I let it sit there, heavy and awkward. Let them process what that meant. Equity, ownership, real wealth, real power. Finally, I spoke. My voice was steady and clear. "You taught me something important last Christmas. You taught me that my worth in your eyes depends on what I own, on how much money I make, on whether I can afford expensive gifts for people." My father started to protest, but I raised my hand. He stopped immediately. "So I built something of my own, not because I wanted to prove you wrong, not even because I wanted revenge, but because I needed to prove myself right. I needed to know that I was more than my bank account, more than my job title, more than the worst moment of my life." My stepmother was crying quietly. Leland looked at the floor, unable to meet my eyes. "You were cruel to me when I was struggling," I continued. "You excluded me, you made me feel worthless and small, and you know what? It broke something in me, but it also freed something. It freed me from caring what you thought." My father's voice cracked. "We were wrong, Myria. We were so terribly wrong." I reached into my purse and pulled out a small velvet box. I placed the box on the coffee table. Everyone stared at it like it might explode. "Open it," I said to my father. His hands shook as he picked it up carefully. He lifted the lid slowly. Inside, nestled in silk, was my mother's pearl necklace, professionally cleaned, restored, gleaming like new. "I bought it back," I said quietly, "from the pawn shop where Leland sold it. Then I had it professionally restored. Mom wanted peace. She wanted us to love each other. This necklace represents that. So I'm giving it to you, Dad. Maybe you can remember what she would have wanted for this family." My father broke down completely. Tears streamed down his face as he lifted the necklace from the box with shaking hands. "How did you?" "I tracked down the shop, made them an offer they couldn't refuse." I looked at Leland. His face had gone pale white. "It wasn't easy, but it was important to me." Leland's wife touched the empty space at her neck where the fake replacement had been. The one Leland had bought her, pretending it was the real thing. Leland scoffed, trying to recover his composure. "So what? You're buying forgiveness now. Think you can just throw money at problems and fix everything?" I turned to face him fully, smiled slowly. "Actually, Leland, speaking of money and problems, I have some news for you." I paused for effect, watching his face. "I bought your company." The room went completely silent. Someone's watch ticked loudly in the stillness. "What?" Leland's face was white as paper. "Morrison Technologies, right? The startup you work for. I purchased controlling interest 3 days ago through my investment firm. 51% ownership." I kept my voice casual, conversational. It was a good deal. They were struggling financially, needed capital desperately. "You're lying," his wife whispered. "Check the business registry tomorrow. It's public record." I looked at Leland directly. "We're restructuring next quarter, eliminating redundant positions. Your department is being outsourced to reduce costs. You'll receive official notice in about 6 weeks. Generous severance package, though. I made sure of that." Leland stood up, his hands clenched into fists. "You vindictive." "Careful," I interrupted softly. "I'm technically your boss now. You might want to watch your tone with me." My father found his voice. "Myria, you can't be serious. That's his livelihood, his career. His family depends on that job." "It was my livelihood too," I said. "My career, my dignity. And you all watched me lose it without caring at all. You uninvited me from Christmas because I couldn't afford gifts." My father sank back into his chair. His face crumpled as the weight of what they'd done finally hit him. "You're stronger than any of us," he whispered. "Your mother would be so proud, and so ashamed of how we treated you." Something in me softened, just a little. I moved to sit beside him on the arm of his chair. "I didn't do this for revenge, Dad. I did it because I needed to prove something to myself. That I matter, that I'm capable, that one bad moment doesn't define my entire life or my worth." I put my hand on his shoulder. He reached up and covered it with his own. "I forgive you," I said quietly. "Not because you deserve it, not because what you did was okay, but because Mom would want me to, and because holding on to anger is exhausting. I'm tired of being angry at all of you." My phone buzzed in my purse. I pulled it out and glanced at the screen. A text from Ambrose. "New yacht design approved. Investors want you to name it. Congratulations, partner." I smiled at the screen. Partner, equity holder, decision maker. "I have to go," I said, standing up. "I have a work call in an hour, but we can do this again. Dinner sometime, on better terms, on equal terms." My father nodded, still holding the pearl necklace carefully. 6 months later, I stood on the deck of a brand new yacht. My yacht, really. Not just as creative director, but as a partial owner. The company had expanded rapidly. We now had 3 vessels, with 2 more in production. This newest one gleamed white in the sunset. The design was entirely mine. Every curve, every color, every tiny detail reflected my vision. Ambrose stood beside me, champagne glasses in both our hands. "Ready to christen her?" he asked with a smile. I looked at the nameplate, still covered with a silk cloth. Behind me, a small group had gathered. Colleagues, friends, investors, my father who had flown in for the ceremony, not Leland. We were still working through that relationship. But my aunt was there. My stepmother. Small steps toward something better. I pulled the cloth away slowly. The name gleamed in bronze letters. The Second Chance. Everyone applauded. I raised my champagne glass and turned to face them all. They banned me from Christmas for being broke, I said, my voice carrying over the water. They made me feel small and worthless and invisible, so I built a life they could never afford, not with money, but with peace, with purpose, with pride in who I am and what I've created with my own hands and mind. I took a sip of champagne and looked out at the endless oceans stretching before me. This is my second chance, and I'm never, ever letting it go.